On the point of bold policy, the Coalition's nuclear policy is a bold one. Is it the right one?
Look, I am a very strong supporter of the Coalition's nuclear policy. I think Peter Dutton has shown great boldness. It's the most definitive, not standalone, but certainly as compared with the Labor Party, it's a standalone policy, and it makes sense. And I applaud him, and I'll do everything I can to help him.
The only thing more explosive than British politics right now is potentially American politics. Do you think it is tenable for Joe Biden to continue in the race?
Well, it looks as though growing numbers of people don't think so. And I feel very strongly that if there's a message for Australia out of what we see in America, and that is that our political system, a parliamentary system, where the top man or woman, the Prime Minister, has to be a member of the legislature, in our case the Parliament, that's an infinitely better system than what the Americans have. I have no doubt that if the Americans had had a parliamentary system, Trump would not have got to the top of the Republican Party. No chance. And therefore would not have been president way back a few years ago. Not way back, but just a few years ago. And equally, I think if Biden had been the president, having got there in a parliamentary pathway, he'd have been tapped on the shoulder a couple of years ago and told that if he didn't resign, he'd be voted out. I think our system is much better. The Americans are not going to change theirs, and we're not going to change ours, but that doesn't mean that we can't speculate. And I think when you're getting polls suggesting that, 60 to 70% of Americans wish the choice was otherwise, that's pretty significant.
The focus has all been on Joe Biden's cognitive ability, and we've seen that in the debate. We've seen him try and fix any concerns in subsequent interviews, and it seems to be getting worse. Does he have the abilities?
Look, all I can observe, and it's not for me to be so presumptuous as to tell my American friends what they should be doing, but it doesn't stop me observing that there's growing worry about his capacity, and I think it will work its way towards a situation where it will be very hard for him to carry on. I think very hard indeed. And I think it does highlight that the imperfections of a presidential system of government. And I'm not talking here about republics versus monarchies, although my position on that's well known, but that's not the issue. The issue is whether you have a parliamentary system. And the great advantage of it is that somebody can't just leapfrog through populism into the role.
If you were still Prime Minister and you saw the cognitive decline and what has been on display from Joe Biden over the last couple of months, would you be concerned?
Look, I'm not Prime Minister, and I know Joe Biden not well. I like him. He's a decent man. He's had a great deal of personal tragedy in his life, and I suppose as a human being I feel for him. But you're talking about the most powerful position in the world, and it's very difficult when the likely choice will be between people whose cognitive capacity is under increasing inspection, let me put it that way, and somebody who, in the case of Trump, to use a cricket expression, would not leave the field when the umpire's finger went up.
Mr. Howard, thanks so much for your time. It's been wonderful to talk politics with you here in London.